Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great day today. On this channel, you hear me talk a lot about a word called purpose. And purpose is really a lot of what's behind the work that I do. But there are two other words that I want to explore with you, one in this video and one in a future video. Today I want to talk to you about a word called needs, and specifically the role of needs in each one of our lives. Now, let's start out very, very basic and just ask ourselves a question. What are needs? You might say, Gary, you're getting pretty basic here because needs are needs. They're things that I have to have in order to be able to survive. And that's absolutely true. All of us have basic needs that we have to have met in order to be able to survive. We need clothing, we need food, we need water, we need shelter, we need transportation. We need jobs to be able to generate revenue so that we can afford to pay for the basic needs that we have in lives. But I think we have to be very, very careful because the whole idea of needs gets blurred by many things in our lives, and needs tend to be driven by what it is that we're trying to achieve in life and things like how we want to appear to other people. I mean, all of you have heard, I'm sure, the keeping up with the Joneses stories where my next door neighbor bought a brand new car, so therefore I need to buy a brand new car too, and those sorts of things. The other thing is that needs are variable. They can be on a sliding scale, and I'll delve into that a little bit later in this video. But we all have basic needs, but where do we draw the line between needs and wants? See, sometimes we get very, very confused with that because human beings are great rationalizers. We can take something that legitimately is a want, and by turning it around in our mind and really, really thinking about it over and over and over, we can change that want into a need and thereby justify spending the money to buy whatever it is that we really want. But the thing we need to realize is that wants are nice to have, but they're not needs. Let me give you a good example of what I'm talking about. A number of years ago, I worked for a company, and we were purchased by another company, and we were coming up, we were purchased late in the year, like the beginning of November. And I was meeting with the gentleman who was the chief financial officer for the new company. And I said, gee, Lee, the first of the year is coming up. We need to be constructing budgets for next year. And he looked at me and he said, Gary, we don't use budgets in our company. And I said, well, that's sort of strange. I said, why do you do that? And he said, let me give you a good example. He said, suppose you had a line item in your budget for $10,000. And during the course of the year, you only spent $7,000. Would you not pat yourself on the back and say, gee, I really did a great job on that line item by underspending it by $3,000? And I said, well, yeah, I suppose I would. And he said, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you ran your business at the lowest possible cost. So he said, here's what we do. We don't use budgets. And he said, what we do is we ask our employees to do two things. When you're considering buying something, first of all, ask yourself the question, do I really, 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 really need it? And if the answer to that question is no, then you don't buy it. And if the answer to the question is yes, I really need it, then the next question you ask is, am I getting the best quality and value for the money that I'm spending? And he said, if you will honestly and religiously ask those questions in your day-to-day life, you'll automatically run your business at the lowest possible cost. My friends, that applies to life too. It's very, very applicable to how we live our lives on a daily basis and really distinguishing between the needs in life and the wants in life. One of the things that I encounter all the time as a financial coach is people who are overspending their income every month. I mean, not just by $5 or $10, but they're overspending by sometimes hundreds and thousands of dollars every month. And yet when I go down through each line item in their expenses, they can justify the socks off why they have to have that higher speed internet package, why they have to have the movie channel and all of these add-ons to their cable bill that add hundreds of dollars a month to their cable bill, when the basic cable bill would be perfectly fine. And so they have justified taking wants and making them needs in order to be able to convince themselves that they need to live the lifestyle that they want to live. But we also all have to understand that wants are not necessary things. And so we have to, as we live our lives, especially when we think about needs in light of achieving our purpose in life, we have to get those two lined up. So let's look at what are the key needs that we face in our lives. What are the things we really need? And I'm not talking about a new car or a house or whatever the case may be, but I think there are four categories under which we can sort of categorize all of our key needs. The first is money. We all have a need to make and spend money. Now, when we're initially starting out in life, maybe graduating from high school or college and getting our first job, the money that we're making is going to provide basic needs. We need to have an apartment. We need to have clothes to go to work in. We need to have some form of basic transportation and things like that. But then as we grow in life and as we get promotions or we take different jobs and we make more money, then we spend that money in a different way. We move out of an apartment into a condo or a home. We get rid of our 10-year-old rust bucket car that we've been driving, and we may not buy a Cadillac, but we buy something that's a little nicer and a little bit more reliable. We might change our wardrobe up a little bit and things like that, but we all have a basic need to make and spend money. The second category is achievement. Human beings are wired to achieve. Now, whether we choose to activate that or not is a completely separate discussion. But we're all wired with the need to achieve. I mean, stop and think about young kids when they're playing at home. Think about the games that they invent and the things that they talk about doing in life and the people they talk about becoming. They're innately wired. They're born with a need to create and achieve. The third thing is that all of us are built for relationships. Human beings are relational people by definition. And so we all need some form of relationships. And the last category is what I term transcendent needs. And by transcendent needs, I mean spiritual needs. We all have a need for some sort of spiritual connection. But a moment or two ago, I was talking about how our needs can be variable. They can be on a sliding scale, and that applies to these four categories. When you think about money as an example, how much money is enough money? Are you perfectly okay living a lifestyle of, say, a Mother Teresa? Or do you need to be the next Jeff Bezos of the world? The same type of thing comes into achievement. What are your goals as far as achieving? Are you just happy living a very simple life where your bills are paid and you go to work, do your job, you go home, you enjoy being with your family? Or do you want to accomplish great things in this world? What about relationships? Some people love people. They're very, very social. They have lots and lots of friends. And other people are very, very satisfied with just having a few close friends, but they don't know a lot of people, don't really have any desire to. And the same thing with transcendent needs. When you look at your spiritual life, where are you on that scale? Because some people profess to be atheists, so they have no real spiritual needs. And other people like myself who are Christians have a very, very deep spiritual need. So that's where the variable comes in, but most of the needs that we have will fall into those four categories. But we need to talk about now the impact of the needs that we have in our lives, because first of all, the needs that we allow ourselves to have to be congruent with the rest of our lives. And this is where purpose comes into play, because when we look at having and creating a purpose in life and then pursuing the attainment of that purpose, the needs that we have not only play into the achievement of our purpose, but they can either positively or negatively affect the achievement of our purpose. And Another thing we need to talk about is that we have to master our needs. We are in a situation as we live our lives that we either master our needs or our needs will master us. And that gets back to the whole conversation that we had a few moments ago about wants versus needs. If we're constantly fighting the battle of looking at wants and making them needs so that we're constantly overspending our budgets, then we may not be in a position to have the finances to be able to pursue our purpose. And so needs can be very, very impactful. So as you consider the development of your purpose, you want to take a look at your needs. What are your needs in these various categories? And what needs may need to change in order to be able to reflect the proper attainment of the purpose that you have in life. So that's our discussion on needs. Next time we're going to talk about the third word of this triad, and that is beliefs. So stay tuned, and I'll talk to you soon.